Aaron Rodgers has decided to stay in the frozen tundra where there's like 3 bars and only 100 people to hang out with on the weekends and forego moving to one of the best cities in the United States, Denver. That's right, Rodgers is staying with the pack, and that kills all trade ideas of Rodgers to Denver, and I'm in shambles. Flat out, if you're looking for me to be a little happy, a little pep in my step in today's video, that's not going to happen. I honestly thought a trade would happen. Maybe I'm naive for thinking that. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. But I really thought Rodgers would want to leave Green Bay after an organization that has done him no favors in the last couple of years, drafting him no assets, instead drafting his replacements. But no, he decides to stick with an ugly green and yellow team. Ian Rappaport Pat McAfee first broke the news, but Ian Rappaport with this. The Packers and MVP quarterback Aaron Rodgers have agreed to terms on a 4-year, $200 million. You could end world hunger, Rodgers, but instead you want to spend it on beer and cheese in Wisconsin? Shame on you. I'm not saying that, but I kind of am. Deal that makes him the highest paid player in NFL history, sources say. He gets a whopping $153 million guaranteed, and his cap number goes down. A monstrous commitment by Green Bay for years to come with some stupid money bag emojis. Here's my couple takes on this. One, school should be canceled in Denver. I don't see why any student should be in a classroom right now learning about United States history when we have this atrocity happening in Mile High. I don't know why anyone would be sitting behind a classroom desk at the moment. Next, way to cuck Women's Day, Aaron Rodgers. It's International Women's Month. When you drop this bombshell on their day, you should be in prison for that. You should be locked up behind bars. Shame on you. Shame on you, Rodgers, for what you've done to Broncos Country and Mile High. I am not okay. I am not. I'm really not. I brought champagne in. I was going to pop champagne when he decided he was going to enter the trade market, and the Broncos were, of course, going to be his number one destination. Now I've got warm champagne on my desk for nothing. Should be drinking Everclear instead. All right. Let's try and get through today's show. What's your one-word reaction to the news about Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay? I'll give you mine in just a moment, but as always, I love to know what you guys have to say. I know some of you didn't want to get Rodgers, but a good chunk of you, myself included, wanted Rodgers to come to the Mile High Country. Let me know what your one-word reaction is down below. I feel boned. I feel sad, dead inside, cucked. Really, I could write a book about how I feel today. But I'll go with boned for now. It's just unbelievable, but it's also believable at the same time because Aaron Rodgers has broken my heart. It's just, I guess to get to more hard-pressing stuff, I don't want to see more mediocre football from the Broncos since 2016 and extend, was it 5 years now without making the playoffs and having the most quarterbacks under center probably only behind the Cleveland Browns in that time span? I don't want to see another Trevor Siemian experiment. I wanted to get winning football. I want to get playoff winning football. Super Bowls, back to parades in Denver. We're not going to get that. I don't see Drew Lock being that guy. He's not the Messiah. I'm sorry. I wish he was. I want to be proven wrong on that front. So, Lock, if you're watching, use this as motivation. This overweight YouTuber telling you that you're not going to be the guy to give the Broncos Country the Super Bowl we've all been waiting for. But with that all in mind, if you guys are looking for Broncos coverage, because I'm going to give my cliche YouTube sub read right now, go ahead and sub, because you know what? I didn't want to give this video today. I was excited. I wore a blue shirt because I thought it'd be a happy day for Broncos Country. But if you're looking for Broncos news throughout all of NFL free agency, you found the place for it. Honest takes right here. So go ahead and hit that big red button and subscribe. Now I wonder what's next for GM George Paton, right? He swung out and missed on Rodgers. And we'll dive more into Nathaniel Hackett's hiring in another video. I'm not going to, it's too raw for me to touch on that right now. But you got to wonder, did the Broncos hire Hackett even for the tiniest bit of luring Aaron Rodgers? And now that that's not going to happen, is there just a bit of doubt in Peyton's mind as he woke up? By the way, people woke up to this news in Denver. It's just a tragedy. Is there even a doubt, in Peyton's mind that, did I hire the wrong guy? What do we do now? Like, is Hackett going to walk in and he's like, all right, guys, I got my muffin, I got my OJ, let's get started. And everyone's like, well, this is awkward because we thought you'd come with Rodgers. And he's like, what? No, come on, you guys love me. I We'll look at some QB options too, by the way. I've got a couple names that we'll run through in just a moment. But first, predict the starting quarterback in week 1. We can rule out Rodgers now. Honestly, Teddy Bridgewater is back in the fold more than I want to believe, more than I want to accept. But he actually is. Because if you think that the Broncos are not going to look at every single option on the table, you're wrong. They're going to look at Teddy Bridgewater. They're going to see why the last regime picked Bridgewater over Locke, right? And that has to be an option. So let me know what you think down below. I do believe, even though this is premature, it's only year 2 for George Paton, this is his biggest moment yet. Maybe passing on Mac Jones or Justin Fields in the NFL draft last year was his biggest moment. But now it really is. We're going to find out what the future of the Broncos looks like in the next 2 to 3 years. Because he may go out and make a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo or Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. And maybe I'm shooting for the stars in some of those names, and maybe some of those names are underwhelming to you. But we're going to find out if he wants to explore trade options or maybe he wants to look at the draft. Because if he drafts a quarterback like Malik Willis with the 9th overall pick and that doesn't work out, you can bet your ass that Peyton will be on the hot seat soon. I know that is a hot take right now, and it is way too early for a guy who had a fantastic first year at his job. But it's all about the quarterback position in the NFL. If you get that spot wrong, nothing else matters. We know that from last year. There was so much talent on the Broncos roster, but it went to waste because of underwhelming quarterback play. You had Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Tim Patrick, 3 studs of wide receivers. Jeudy, granted, was hurt, scored no touchdowns. Sutton was on the Amber Alert MIA list for the second half of the season, nowhere to be seen. And Tim Patrick was the only guy chipping in at tough times on key third downs. So there's a lot of talent. And then we can just gloss over the defense, by the way. That was so good. And credit to Vic Fangio, not taking that away from him, but credit to this defense that played like stars despite missing all 4 of their starting linebackers after weeks 1 and 2. Before we get to actual QB options for the Broncos now, at least I rank them. Let me tell you guys about BetUS, because if you want to bet on my heart being broken today, make that bet at BetUS. Go on over to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Broncos125. You put $100 in on Matthew being devastated today, BetUS will tack on an additional $125 for you to bet on me being a little devastated tomorrow. So check them out, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Broncos125 to get that deposit bonus. Now, as we were filming today's video, producer Jeff, also behind the scenes magic, saw this tweet and got it on the show because it's pretty important. Dav, I don't know what you do for a living. I'd love to know how you pay the bills. But anyway, he tweets, from Mike Kliss, with Aaron Rodgers staying with the Packers, the Broncos' plan B is now to focus on trading for Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, according to Mike Kliss. This kind of makes today a little better because I've always said, and I know this may sound hypocritical right now, but Russell Wilson was always my plan A. He's younger, and I like the longevity, and I think he could play late into his 40s. Rodgers was always going to be a gamble on can you win a Super Bowl in years 1, 2, or maybe even 3. But here's what we need to happen. We need boots on the ground in Seattle. We need Broncos country. So if you're a Broncos fan living in Seattle, living in the Pacific Northwest, just stroll on by Russell Wilson's crib and just make little comments of, raining again? That's horrible weather. Beautiful in Denver today, I saw, by the way, but always gloomy here in Seattle. Little comments like that of, wish I could just go, drive an hour and ski some of the best slopes out in the Rocky Mountains, but I guess we'll hang out in Seattle. Great, right? Little comments, little jabs like that. Get the ball rolling in his head, all right? Because Russ is a tough cookie. I've talked about this in length before. Russell Wilson has a no-trade clause, which means if he doesn't want to get traded, he doesn't have to get traded. He can pick where he gets traded. Yet, for whatever reason, Russell Wilson's always rather cryptic of, I'd love to stay in Seattle if it's up to me. Well, dude, it is up to you. That's what a no-trade clause means, okay? Are you sitting down, Russell Wilson? I'm going to blow your mind here. But the fact that he doesn't come out and just say, I'm not getting traded. I don't want to be traded. I want to stay in Seattle, makes me think he could be lured. He could be tempted. You could go up to Russell Wilson and just say, you know what, Russ? Seattle, they've drafted just 3 Pro Bowlers in the last 3 or 4 years, over 50 draft picks. Here at Denver, we can build a good roster around you. We can keep you upright. We'll protect that little thumb, right? That got hurt. We'll kiss it I'll kiss it every day if it gets Russell Wilson to Denver, crying out loud. So here are some realistic QB options for Denver. I'll do a video tomorrow that goes much more in depth on these guys. I still think Garoppolo, this is what I want to happen. This is what I think is realistic. I think Garoppolo is more realistic than Russell Wilson for now, just because we know Jimmy G is getting traded. The day they lost in the playoffs, he said, can't wait to see where I'm at next year. Russell Wilson there still has to get a snowball rolling for him to get traded from Seattle. I've got Deshaun Watson at number 3. We also know he's getting traded, but I don't know if he's even going to play football in 2022. He's got so much baggage to deal with on that end. Carson Wentz at number 4, and my producer right now is saying he is bad. And producer Jeff, will clap it up for him. He doesn't even watch football, and he knows that. He watches soccer in England. He wakes up at 6 a.m. to watch grass fairies pedal around in East London. Number 5 is West London, God forbid. Well, number 5 is Kirk Cousins. Again, this was a name that was floated out maybe back in January, but it looks like the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, the new head coach, want to stick with Captain Kirk, and he wants to stay with the Vikings. So if both sides are happy, I don't see why a trade would happen unless the Broncos just wowed the Vikings with a bunch of picks that is just outkicking their coverage for this guy. Like I said, though, we'll have a video coming out tomorrow looking at some of these QB options. Russell Wilson's going to be on the thumbnail. And by the way, if you were a little tired of Aaron Rodgers talking on the channel, I can understand. We hit on him a lot, no doubt. But it's gonna retire Aaron Rodgers on the thumbnails. We're gonna see a lot of number 3 in Seahawks uniforms coming up. With that all in mind, though, Drew Lock is very much back in the fold. I mean, I didn't even think he'd be on the roster after he lost the job to Teddy Bridgewater this season. But you've got him at just about $4 million? And if you think you could take all 5 of your top 100 picks and devote them to building around Lock, getting him better protection, drafting a replacement at right tackle for Bobby Massey, getting some edge rushers, and filling some other little holes and some other little gaps because the roster is already talented as it is, and then just spending $4 million in the quarterback position, that's a pretty sweet gig right there for the Broncos GM spot, George Payton, to go. All I've got to do is just hit on 3 of these 5 picks right here, turn it over to Drew Lock. Could work out pretty well if Drew Lock works out well. If he doesn't work out well, it's all for nothing. Those picks, I'm sorry, are useless. Nothing matters in the NFL if you don't have the quarterback position down. We witnessed that ourselves last year in Denver. It was a great, talented team. Tons of talent on that roster. But what did it do? It floundered. It sunk because of mediocre quarterback play. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no for the question on screen. Do you have confidence in Drew Lock? I give an N for no still. I'm sorry. If you hate me for that, that's fine. This is America. Invoke your First Amendment right. Sound off in the comment section. I've seen over 20 games in 3 seasons for him, and I'm still seeing elementary mistakes in year 3 that we saw early in year 1, even though we didn't get to see him play for a little bit in year 1, which is also kind of a knock I have against him. The best ability is availability. And I get COVID. It wasn't his fault, but it's just, unfortunately, somewhere you have to draw the line in the sand. That's what I'm looking to say here, right? Some point here, when you're Drew Lock, you got to start proving people right, and you don't just get handed freebies in the NFL like, oh, well, it wasn't his fault he couldn't play. No, this is the NFL. So what can you do for me now, league, not what you did for me yesterday or excuses. Having said all that, I do have more faith in Drew Lock than any rookie quarterback. I want the Broncos to win now in 2022, not do a half rebuild until they find their future quarterback while great contracts are expiring and you have Surtain on a rookie deal that's going to be his cheapest before you have to extend him to a mega contract he's already trending towards. Sorry to Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, but I think that Drew Lock is a better quarterback in 2022 than any of those guys will be. They need a little time to grow, and I still just think this quarterback class is not all that strong. That's going to do it for us here on the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll bounce back. We all have to bounce back. We'll put our boots on. We'll put our big boy pants on, our big girl pants on, and we'll find a way to rebound. But until then, go Broncos.